Welcome, everyone. This is a webinar on isolation, influence, and inclusion, protecting neurodivergent youth online from from radicalization. And what we're gonna talk about today, and this is just kind of freewheeling, how online manipulation preys on those who are socially isolated, why social skills um, act as a protective factor, and then practical strategies to support neurodivergent teens and young adults. Hi, Nathan.
I'm in. Hi.
Yeah. So I'm Mara McLoughlin. I am a speech language pathologist. I founded IRL Social Skills. My specialty in my special focus was getting non-speaking autistic students a functional way to express themselves. And I noticed that the ones who were struggling socially, who could speak, who were perhaps doing well academically, that the lagging social skills um, were going to present a barrier to like having a rich life, right? Like we want our teens and young adults to have, and even ourselves to have, right? Um, so I am not a specialist on like far right radicalization of youth. What I am a specialist in is communication and neurodivergence and how the direct, explicit instruction in these skills helps to build community and resilience. Um, and they are skills that need to be practiced, that can be taught, learned, practiced, and improved upon. I drew from two different texts for this presentation. One is called Black Pill. It's a book by investigative journalist Elle Reeves. Um, and she used to work for Vice magazine, and she kind of went undercover with in the those who are like getting community in the darkest corners of the internet. And then a book called How to Talk to Your Son About Fascism, and that is by Craig A. Johnson. Both of these books came out both last year. Black Pill came out, and this year, How to Talk to Your Son About Fascism came out. So these are current works because this is a hot topic. The problem is, that isolation is one of the, oh yeah, Nathan.
On the last slide, I actually didn't know you were on like the Oregon Autism Commission chair. That's actually kind of cool.
It is really cool. And interestingly enough, the commission, the governor did, we were such good stewards of the funds for the past 12 years that we always had that in this, like the second, this 2 year period that just finished, we had a surplus of funds left over from the amount that was given. And then the governor decided that, oh, wow, well, being such good stewards of the funds, autistic, um, that they didn't need any funds. The commission doesn't need any funds. So right now we don't even have a commission. We just have kind of an ad hoc group of people who really still care passionately, but there's no funding.
Well, the fact that you're managing your money well is refreshing because I can think of way too many organizations and stuff that don't do that well. So,
Yeah.
good. Respect.
Yeah, and it's also kind of, it's it just goes to show you that like autistic people have really good skills because the people who are doing the books were autistic. So,
Yeah, and being an aspiring like independent music artist, I would know a thing or two about that.
right?
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll share more later because you got a lot to do.
Cool, thanks, Nathan. Um, and yeah, so isolation is one of the strongest risk factors for the online radicalization, particularly for youth seeking belonging. And we know that, there's a loneliness epidemic, and loneliness is more than just a bad feeling, right? It contributes to a lot of health issues like cardiovascular disease, stroke, dementia, depression, anxiety, and premature death. Um, so yeah, this is part of a larger picture. And this is how the internet hooks us, right? The algorithms amplify extreme content. So you have someone who is lonely, right? They are seeking connection. The online content creates these echo chambers, which create a false consensus, right? Everyone's thinking the same thing I am. Everyone believes the same thing I do in this echo chamber. And the need to belong is weaponized, right? Because we need to belong. Humans need to belong. We are no good alone. And the online platforms, therefore, they amplify extreme content, right? Because that's what gets the clicks, that's what gets the money. um and so these algorithms, echo chambers, and the human need for belonging combine to pull youth into these manipulated spaces. And this is really insidious and present in Minecraft, innocent seeming video games, all the way to 4chan. In the black pill worldview, despair and fatalism are central tenets. Okay. And these narratives prey on people who already feel disconnected. And they convince them that there's no way forward, that abandon all hope. And we need hope. And hope is a practice. And this kind of imposed nihilism, nothing matters, um, brings us to this uh, need for identity and belonging. So, in How to Talk to Your Son About Fascism, the author explains that fascist movements appeal to identity and belonging. So, humor and memes also often serve as the gateway to this belonging. And kind of like I put here, like it's a Trojan horse, right? It's not what you think it is. And before you know it, you are in uh, this place where that you're isolated, right? The manipulation deepens the isolation, the manipulation of the algorithm. The youth experience anxiety, depression, and further withdraw, creating a reinforcing cycle that is hard to break. Because, these are dopamine hits. This is addiction. And there's a recent book written called, what's it, Dopamine Nation? Yeah, that's from 2023, about like how these algorithms work. And so we've talked a lot about the problem, right? So now let's pivot towards the next section: why social skills are a protective factor. So when we say social skills, like what are we talking about when we talk about social skills? We are talking about the skills and the tools to connect, right? Communication, empathy, perspective taking, conflict resolution, and self-advocacy. And and communication, it is really such, as a speech language pathologist, it is such a fascinating and very complex set of skills. It's not easy. Communication is fun. Communication is difficult, right? It's both. It's the both and. And there is, the fact that we are able to talk and express ourselves, and the fact that we are able to listen and take in what another human being is saying, and not just the words, right? But the whole gestalt, the facial expressions, the body language, the tone of voice, the orientation of our bodies. We get so much information when we are face to face, either in person or online, because even this, it's still synchronous, right? Our brains are still firing together, and and it is in real time. Strong social skills, they provide belonging offline, right? And this reduces the need for and the reliance for online validation. You see a YouTube video, you make a comment on it, and then like 300 people like it, right? And then you're like, "Oh, wow, I said something, I get a dopamine hit off of that." And they might not even be real people. They might be a bunch of bots that are unleashed into the social media atmosphere to manipulate. Um, oh, just one second. Social skills also build resilience against manipulation because there's the learning that like, okay, like there's this world over here and maybe it's real, maybe it's not. But then there's this world that I'm experiencing with my own body, with other people, right? And that's real. Yeah, Nathan.
Only thing I wanted to say is that this whole AI craze has gotten completely out of hand.
I know. It really has. Like what is real? What's not? Do you care? Like, and there are it's it's a lot to take in and it can really feel overwhelming, but really, we have to play to the strengths of neurodivergent youth, right? So there's often strengths, like there's a ton of strengths. We can all speak to the strengths of neurodivergence, like including focus, like a single pointed focus, and an honesty, right? This is attention to detail, being able to detect pattern recognition. There's also some challenges, right, around taking in social cues. These challenges, like with cues and being excluded, can really leave them vulnerable. Okay, being, uh, the need to be liked and also having been rejected because of being different. There's something called the uncanny valley, which is like from robotics, where it's a Japanese like exploration around where people there's a robot and it seems human, but it's not quite. And that is something that autistic people like can mention. Like people can tell that I'm different, that I have a different neurotype, and people come sometimes don't know what to do, right? Instead of being curious, they're like, oh, that's weird, or even instead of giving direct, explicit, uh, feedback, like, hey, is it okay if I talk about my special interest now? Giving those kinds of cues. And really tailored support matters. At IRL Social Skills, we teach in a group setting because communication happens with peers. In context, all communication happens in a context. And oh, this is hard for you, it's hard for me too. And this is a safe space where we can like practice these skills before we go and launch them in real life, right? So creating real world belonging requires really practical supports, okay? Activities, activity based get-togethers, clubs, peer groups where you're doing things, okay? And it could be something, I mean, it could be a robotics club. It could be like metal detectoring. It could be um play like D&D, right? Whatever you're into, other people are into. And these programs help people find like safe, authentic belonging offline, right? Because it's something that you're into, a choir, a knitting club, a book club, whatever it is. This is a direct counter to online isolation. And if you have been in like a socially impoverished situation, meaning you like haven't had a lot of experience socially, like you haven't like had a lot of friends, you haven't had a crew, you haven't had to navigate um the like ups and downs of friendships, being a friend, having a friend, these are skills that need like acquisition and practice. um Mentorships, being like volunteering is also a really great way beyond peers and peer groups and clubs, because you're going to find other people who like care about the same things that you do. And also, media literacy is really critical. There are, I'm going to follow up with like a free course on media literacy, teaching youth how algorithms work, what they do to your brain, and how to spot manipulation. It equips them to navigate online spaces more safely, right? To be more intelligent consumers. And really, a mark of intelligence is being able to, like, you know, ask the questions. What is the source? Who benefits? And can I fact check this instead of just taking it at face value? And it takes more time, right? It takes more time to do that. But that is called being like really like a responsible citizen, because these teaching these skills and helping people who are chronically online connect in real life is really a matter of national security. Social skills coaching, role plays, video analysis, real time practice with peers and parents, as well as emotional regulation practice, it helps people feel more confident in real interactions. I mean, the thing is, social interactions, they go really fast, and you want to attune to the messages that you're getting, like not just at the beginning of a conversation or interaction, not in the middle only, or not only at the end. You want to be paying attention the whole time so you can adjust, right? We have all, I mean, I've done it, and I've been in conversations with people who they are just talking, and they are not attending to your cues, that you're like looking around, you're just like looking, trying to get an exit. You're like, what are you gonna do? Like throw up a timeout? Like like they're not attending, and it makes you feel, like, I don't really want to talk to this person anymore, because we're not having a reciprocal conversation, right? So things like that, where there's just some direct, explicit instruction and practice in those skills, really makes a world of difference. Um, Families matter. uh, the fact that IRL Social Skills offers a parent mediated intervention where parents also learn the skills that their young adults or teens are learning, so that they can help facilitate the carryover of those skills, and even like take in the instruction themselves. Like, oh, yeah, I mean, parents go first, right? Parents model these skills. Parents are the our children's first teachers. And this really doesn't end. They are still looking to you for a model and for guidance. And these open, non-judgmental conversations, they help create trust. Um, these and like caring, just being caring and curious works better than confrontation. Oh gosh, I watch YouTube and I get these ads for like face cream and, dressing after 40. What kind of ads do you get? You know? Like, I'm curious. And like start a conversation like, oh, I have these boring ads. What do you get? And start a conversation around it. And then ask a follow-up question. Well, what do you think about that? Right? It's also, schools, uh, parents, yeah, teachers, uh, educators, communities can build protective environments. They can do this by teaching social emotional learning, right? Let's take a pause here. Um, yeah, like, what did you notice? Like, how did this make you feel in your body? What do you notice about that? Can that feeling in your body be traced to an emotion? Well, I know I noticed my shoulders go up. And that means I was feeling kind of tense, right? Kind of stressed, kind of protective, like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? What can I do in that situation? Well, I can look around, I can orient myself to my space, right? Am I breathing? Lots of times we're holding our breath, right? So I'm going to do that. The most regulated nervous system in the room is the one to which the other nervous systems gravitate, rather. Um, Schools can teach and uh, can provide rather inclusion programs, right? Instead of, oh, those kids are over there, you know, like, and yeah, they need to be included. And maybe that is facilitated by an instructional assistant, even by a peer who is a trained peer to help with the inclusion and offering safe group spaces. That could be in schools, that can be, a luncheon, like a lunch bunch. That can be a D&D club that somebody starts, even a neurodiversity club. We have had teens in our program even start their own neurodiversity clubs at their schools. And it's pretty amazing because, that is, they're included with their peers who get them, right? And that is a protective measure and that is a healing factor. What we can do today as families, as educators, as communities, well, we can encourage friendships. Um, and encourage means more than like, um, yeah, hey, you know what? You should go make some friends. Just go over there and just go introduce yourself, right? Like, no, it means like, we gotta find you. Like, what are you into? Let's find like, whatever you're into, other people are into. Let's find something with the park district. What else might you be into? Let's find a school club. Let's find um, something at the community college, a non-credit class, right? Let's check in with IRL Social Skills. Like, do they know anybody else who is like out here and who's like playing chess? You know, maybe she does. And in fact, I'm working on an alumni program where we can have our past participants like connect with each other among same age peers because they're such cool families and they have common interests, right? Educators can teach media literacy, like I mentioned before. Communities, even, cities and counties can create inclusive spaces, right? So every level of our society has a role for those who have been shunned, excluded, ostracized. Um, yeah, Okay, Jessica asked, I have attempted a neurodiversity club. I'd love to hear how others did it. Yeah, well, let me connect you with somebody. Um, because, yeah, and it's somebody I out your way, like not very far from you. See, that's why I need to set up these alumni groups, and that is going to be happening next week. Um, yeah, because the hardest part about that I've noticed with IRL Social Skills after the program ends is the continuation of having get-togethers because it takes a lot of executive function, right? Um, People are busy, families are busy. And then to just be like to have some kind of organizing principle. Oh, hey, there's this event. It's once a month. We're meeting at the food carts. Cool. It just keeps the vibe alive because we need each other. We need people. All right. So I'm just going to open it up to questions. I'm going to actually, and I'm going to end the recording.